Hey everyone, it's Minius. If you were to make a list of the best Mass Effect villains, Saren Arterius wouldn't just be in the conversation, he'd probably be at the top. In the original Mass Effect, the rogue Turian Spectre is menacing, intelligent, very talented, and most of all, ruthless. But there's one very important thing from the first game that changes his actions dramatically. Saren isn't the one in control of his actions. He's under the thumb of the Reaper Sovereign. There's just no way that the real Saren would willingly usher in the genocide of his own people. In fact, my favorite moment in the entire series comes at the end of the first game, when Shepard can convince Saren he's no longer in control, causing the Turian to realize what he's done and take his own life in an attempt to prevent what he's started. So, who is the real Saren? And how different is he from the version we get in the original Mass Effect? Well, obviously the most important thing to know about Saren is that he became a Spectre. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Special Tactics and Reconnaissance agents, but just as a refresher, Spectres are elite military operatives that answer only to the Citadel Council. These agents are given an incredible amount of operational freedom and basically are permitted to break laws in order to achieve their goals.
You Spectres play fast and loose with the law. That's bad for business.
The Codex makes a point of saying that some Spectres are peacekeepers who use diplomacy, but others are cold-blooded assassins who ruthlessly dispatch problem individuals. Saren is the latter. Here's a list of some of the things that he did over the course of the book Mass Effect Revelation, which doesn't cover a very long amount of time. Saren removed the witness of a massacre from desperately needed medical care in order to get information, and then didn't return that person to that proper care. He intentionally withheld information about severe Council law violations by a Council race for his own personal benefit. He casually tortured a suspect to death after the suspect had already told him everything, just in case that suspect was lying or had additional information. He intentionally leaked the location of someone officially under Council protection to an assassin, with the intention of letting that person be killed by that assassin, just so Saren could follow the assassin afterwards. He gunned down innocent civilians and then blew up the factory in which they were working, just to flush out his target. So given this list of accomplishments, it's safe to say that Saren was not a good guy. It's important to note, though, that as a Spectre, almost all of these actions were probably legal. In fact, the only action that really would have got him in trouble was the withholding of Council violations bit. But what best exemplifies the motivations of the true Saren is what pops into his head when he first discovers Sovereign. Here are those initial thoughts from the book of how Saren thought things would go with Sovereign under his control. Of course, at the time, he didn't really realize what he had. Quote, "Once he unleashed that power, everything would be forever changed. Never again would the Turians be forced to bow before the will of the Council, as they had when they'd been commanded to make reparations for the First Contact War. At long last, there would be a reckoning for the Alliance. Humanity would learn its place, along with every other species that paid homage to the Citadel." End quote. So you can see there's something going on here that is somewhat behind the scenes in the Mass Effect trilogy, and it has to do with the place of Turians in galactic society. From the moment the Turians burst onto the scene, they had, by far, the most powerful military of any Allied Council race. In fact, when the Turians were invited to join the Council, their fleet was more powerful than the rest of the Council races combined. And there's a chance that that's still the case when humans arrive on the scene. It's very possible that if they wanted to, Turians could dominate the other races. But the Turian hierarchy continues to be satisfied with the state of the galaxy, relying on the Solarians for military intelligence and technology, and the Asari for diplomacy. The idea here is that they would lose more than they would gain by eliminating or dominating those other Council races. But it's unlikely that every Turian feels that way. Saren's attitude kind of proves that. He is not okay with the Turians being under the thumb of another race. Perhaps the event that most pushed Saren towards this position was the First Contact War, when the Turian fleet made first contact with humanity through the barrel of gigantic space guns, and were forced to pay reparations for that. Some Turians resented being punished for doing their job as they saw it. For Saren, It may have been even more personal than that. We're told he has a brother who lost his life during the conflict. The comic Mass Effect Evolution paints a somewhat different picture. Now, Saren might have had another brother who died during the First Contact War, but his brother Decilas was killed in an event only somewhat related to that conflict. At the time, Saren was serving as an officer under his brother Decilas, who also happened to be a general. However, Saren earned his way to that position, and it was said of him that he never met any situation beyond his control until he went to work for his brother. In the comic, Decilas becomes obsessed with a Reaper artifact found on a crashed turian ship on Shanxi, which is where the First Contact War takes place. He believes that this device causes those who come in contact with it to evolve. Decilas then finds another device on the Turian homeworld of Palaven and begins feeding his fellow Turians to it. This situation gets out of control, and Saren is forced to destroy the building containing the device and the enhanced Turians surrounding it, which kills his brother Decilas. Understandably, Saren is not happy with this, and the fact that humans got away with Turian reparations in this conflict that indirectly claimed his brother may have pushed him over the edge. So when he discovered Sovereign less than a decade later, he thought he had found an opportunity to gain control over the Turian galactic situation. Perhaps this desire to dominate the rest of the galaxy made it easier for him to get indoctrinated by Sovereign, but Saren's desire to keep his discovery a secret almost certainly sealed his fate. We don't know exactly what he did with Sovereign for the 18 years before he attacked Eden Prime with an army of Geth, which is too bad because I bet that's fascinating. He probably was able to take great advantage of his Spectre status and his connections to get a lot done. After all, a Spectre can legally get away with a lot of stuff, and the Council often doesn't want to know the details of their operations. All we know for sure is that he emerged with a Geth army, a Krogan clone facility, and the loyalty of a powerful Asari matriarch who happened to be Liara's mother to become the threat that we know him to be in the original Mass Effect. One more kind of interesting Saren note. He was originally envisioned by the people at BioWare as an older, weaker character with incredibly powerful biotics. Check out a couple of these interesting pieces of concept art from the early stages of Mass Effect's development. Thumbs up to Brian for suggesting this lore topic. Now, the last time I asked for lore video topic requests, I was overwhelmed by the response. I usually try to comment on everyone's video ideas, but in that case, there were simply way too many. But those requests did convince me to come up with a plan for the future of lore videos, and that plan is I'm going to do a video on everything. It's going to take me a while, but there's no doubt that the interest is there. I would, though, like to know what lore topics you most want to see so I can get to those first. So let me know what you're most interested in the comments section below. And if you like this video, please give it a like. It really helps out the channel. Keep an eye on MiniusGC for more lore, and of course, other Mass Effect videos. But for now,
I should go.